What's going on, guys? Hope y'all are having a great day out there today. So today it is a rainy, yucky mess outside today. So I figured it's a good day to do a little shop work on a couple of the cars. Two of the ones I'm wanting to work on here today. Number one is the Big Rock. I'm going to go over a couple things on this thing. Right now, I was just checking this thing over. Number one, the center drive shaft bearing. I just found another one of these. It's a new sealed one. It was locking up, and definitely keep an eye on these with all the 3S cars, because these center bearings on the drive shaft tend to lock up pretty easily because they are exposed to a lot of dirt and grime and everything immediately. And as soon as those lock up, it will start rotating just on the shaft and then melting or burning a hole through it. So definitely keep an eye on those bearings, guys. Also, I've noticed I got a bunch of play down here in the motor. I'm not sure if the motor mounts, it's loose on the motor mount itself, or if the screws that hold the motor together are loose. But I'm going to pull that apart, check that out, check the mesh on this thing, because I did install the steel spur gear on this thing. So I'm going to make sure everything's all coherent on the Big Rock here. This thing's been holding up great. It's been a blast. I just recently put the wing on the back of this thing, got a brand new set of the granite tires I put on this. Hopefully these are going to hold together. Last time I ran granite tires on the 4S, because I do have the BLX 120 in this thing with the stock motor. But it's been running great, but I've been trying to find a set of tires that I kind of like on this thing, because I had a set of the Duratrax C2 tires on it, and they're a little stiff, and the bead locks came apart, so I'm going to have to re-glue and try those tires maybe again. But I'm going to give these granite tires a try on this thing next. I'm hoping to take this thing out maybe tomorrow if the rain stops. But enough yakking here. Let's get working on this thing. I'm going to pull the motor out of this thing and check this, and I'll bring you guys back when we find out what's wrong with it. Also, I got talking so much there at the beginning, I forgot to mention what else we're going to work on. We're also going to work on the Typhon 6S. I have the rear front hinge pin mount. I got the rear one, and I never put this on, and I wanted to put this on the back of this thing, because once we get done with the speed runs, I am going to turn this into a basher, and these tend to break. So this is the rear front one. I put the rear one on it already, but we're going to install that. I want to put a new set of bearings in it, because I noticed some of the bearings got some play and they don't feel real good, so we're going to put a new set of bearings in the Typhon on the wheels, and also a set of the M2C pillow ball bushings. These ones are made out of that Delron. Holds up pretty well. They're nice and smooth, so I'm going to put these in the Typhon also. But anyway, let's get tearing apart the Big Rock here and see what's going on with the motor play. Yeah, yesterday was an absolutely beautiful day. Went out for the day bashing, took the Typhon out for a little speed run, and went to the track, got some runtime in down there. We took the boat, the drone, and the Crate 8S, and Trevor joined me down there. But today is a whole other picture. It is not so nice out there today. It started raining last night, and it's just been continuing on through the day. But I'm going to get the motor pulled out of this thing, and I will bring you guys back when I find out what's causing the play in the motor. Alright guys, well, we got the motor out of here, and if you guys could see, I mean, it has got a substantial amount of play in this thing. Not sure what's going on, but going to get this thing opened up here. Try not to drag this video out too long, but figured let's do a little shop work down here, getting a few of the cars worked on. We're going to bring everybody along for the day. Nice to actually be home for a little bit so I can kind of mess around with some stuff and have a little shop time. But, ooh, these bearings in here don't look very hot. They are still spinning, though. Sorry, kind of probably hard to see, but they're getting pretty rusty. They definitely need oiled or greased or replaced. I'm going to see if I have new ones of these. But the slipper assembly, everything feels good on that. A little bit of play in those bearings also. So I'm going to see if I can find a set of bearings on that. But the gear, the new steel spur gear, still looks good. Still in great shape. So, where's the play coming from? The motor itself isn't moving. Oh, no, the motor screws. Oh, I'm glad I checked this thing. The motor mount did come loose. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look for the bearings on this thing and get the mesh set again and get these tightened back up. Probably put some Loctite on these since they came loose. The 4S, it's creating a little more, a little more power, a little more torque. So got to keep an eye on these things pretty often. All right, guys. Well, I was in luck. I got a fast Eddie bearing kit here, and I got 2 of them in there that are for the slipper assembly, which is perfect. So I can go ahead and get the new ones on the slipper on there, and these things are nice and smooth, these fast Eddie bearings, and they definitely hold up quite a bit longer. But I'm gonna get these installed on both of this, and I'll bring you guys back in a moment. And whenever you're getting these bearings off, this one, you know, on the side of the shaft was really tough to get off of there. So after I get done and finally get that thing off there, I usually clean them up really good with either a brush or something, and just try and get any of that old dirt, corrosion, and stuff like that off of there. And then definitely put a little bit of grease on this before you slide it back on there again. Alright, well, I got the new Fast Eddie bearings installed on both sides of them. Nice and smooth, so I'm going to go ahead and get this thing back together and get the motor mesh set again. It's amazing what a new set of bearings will do and how nice and smooth a good set. It's just amazing from the ones that were in here a minute ago and trying to spin this to now. I mean, you can see how nice and just butter smooth that thing's turning. But I'm going to go ahead and get this thing back in there again. I know I've already said that probably twice. But we're going to get installed now. I was just sitting here feeling how nice and smooth this thing is turning now. It's great. Alright guys, well, I was just pulling the screws out of the motor here. They do look like most of the Loctite has all came off from the last time I pulled the motor screws out. I'm going to use blue Loctite. I was going to use red, but honestly sometimes it's just trying to get them back out again if I need to just becomes a real headache, especially on the motor, because it's a little harder to heat them up and get them out without damaging the motor. So I'm just going to use the blue stuff this time. But I'm going to do one screw at a time and get her back in there again. Sorry, probably can't really see anything that way. But we're going to get this screwed in there. Get that just barely snug. Let the slipper clutch fall out and hit the ground. Got to make sure you do that part. But I'm going to get this one out now. Come on. It's got little tight spots in it. Probably from the old Loctite. Alright. We'll get this over with, and then we're going to get working on the Typhon. Been working on that thing and getting that thing up in the speed runs. And I'm trying to do whatever I can to let that thing spin as free as possible. I do have now a new battery coming. Sorry, you guys are probably just seeing a giant shot of my hand, which isn't very useful. I apologize. But I've been working on that thing. And in the last videos you've seen, I got it up to 98 mile an hour. I was talking with some people, a good buddy of mine, Alden Cost. I was talking with him on the phone about this situation and what was causing the ESC probably to drop out. And we're both thinking that it's amperage cutout, basically because it's a 4,000 milliamp 100C LiPo. That's why it was dying out, because I'm just pulling the max amps from it and it's basically shutting down because the motor's not overheating. The ESC isn't overheating, it's just kind of just dying out. So I ordered a new LiPo battery. This time I got a 120C 5200, 52 or 55. No, I'm sorry. It's a 6,000 milliamp 100C LiPo I have coming. So hopefully that one continues and has enough power to do that. So like I said, guys, I'm learning about the speed run stuff and what it is, you know, what I need to do and the best setup. So I'm still learning, so I'll figure it out eventually. All I want to do is get that Typhon up to 100 mile an hour, and then we're going to send her back to dirt. Because that's what I enjoy doing with the thing, is, you know, just bashing that thing on the dirt. But working on the mesh. Feels pretty good right there, I think. Got just a tiny bit, a little click there. Seems to feel pretty good, so I'm going to go with that, I believe. Feels pretty decent. Go ahead and give these a crank back down again. Feels pretty snug. And whenever you do that, make sure you let the Loctite dry overnight, that you don't go and just start running the car immediately, because then you're going to heat up the Loctite and it's not going to get the set, and you're going to have your screws backing out again. So when you're going to Loctite something, make sure you let it dry overnight, guys. But I'm going to go ahead and get this thing back together, and I'll bring you guys back. We're working on the Typhon. All right, guys, well, the big rock is all back together again. We got a new bearing on the center drive shaft, and we got new bearings on the slipper clutch on both sides of the shaft on that thing. And she is moving nice and free. Mesh sounds good, so the big rock is ready to roll and take it back out for its next bash. So hopefully get some dry weather here in the next day or two, and can take this thing out. So we're going to bust the Typhon out now and get working on that thing, guys. All right, guys, well, I'm going to work on the Typhon 6S and the rear hinge pin brace first. I'm going to take out, just pull the whole rear end off of this thing real quick, and it's not too bad. All you got to do is take out this bolt here that holds the rear chassis brace out. You don't even have to pull the wing or anything else. Take that off, pull your 4 screws out of the bottom, and your whole back end will pull off of this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you guys back then. All right, well, I just loosened all these screws up by hand first. Go ahead and wind these out. Make sure you drop your screws everywhere while you're doing it. Kind of lose them. You know, what would be the fun in working on the car if you didn't do that? So, as you can see, got those 4 screws out. And now you got your whole back end accessible. So this is what we're going to change out right here. So all you got to do is take these 2 screws out right here in the front, and this will slide right out. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and pull these 2 out. Try not to drop them, lose them. The next thing I got to purchase are the MIP drill bit versions of these, so that I have them for my drill, because the hand drivers are just awesome. And I need to get a set for my drill also, because they fit in everything much tighter, and you don't have the problem of rounding off screws, or the possibility of it, anywhere near as easy. But go ahead and slide that off. Keep everything else in place. This is all we're doing. Go ahead and cut the new one out of the package. They also do give you 2 new screws along with it if you want to change them out, but probably will, because I can't remember if these were slightly more shallow, and that's why you need to use the shorter screws. But I'm going to take a look at this, and I'll bring you guys back and let you know if you have to use their screws or not, because honestly, I don't remember. All right, guys. Well, yeah, you do want to use the screws they supply, because the stock ones are much too long. You can go with a slightly longer than what they have in their stock if you feel more comfortable with that. But I just would suggest using the ones that they supply. But anyway, so along with the kit here, they supply a couple grub screws that you can put in, and they lock in your hinge pins here. Go ahead and put a little bit of Loctite on those and get the screw in. I'm not sure if you can see. Try to get this closer. Right there. On either side of there, there's a grub screw hole. So go ahead and put your grub screws in there, and crank her down, and that keeps them hinge pins nice and locked in. And while you got that thing off, guys, you might as well throw a little bit of new grease in there. Just make sure all them gears are nice and coated, and she's spinning nice and free, and this is turning really nice and easy. So everything's still in good shape on this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get the back end put back on this thing, and I will work on the pillow balls next. All right, guys. Well, she's all installed. Looks good. And I'll be a little bit stronger when I take it out bashing now, which will hopefully be very soon, because that will mean this thing hit 100 mile an hour, and that whole thing will be over. And I am looking at getting a actual speed car here. I'm talking around with some people and looking at some different options and what I want to go with. I'm kind of torn at this point between the infraction or a limitless. Don't know which way I want to go. But anyway, guys, let's get the pillow ball bushings changed out on the front here, and we'll be finished up with the Typhon. All right, guys. Well, I'm not going to bore you with all this, but I pulled out, both of the pillow ball retainers, and what I did with mine that makes it a little bit easier, especially putting them back in, was I wrapped the Allen wrench here with a piece of Gorilla Tape. But what it does is it stops it, so it kind of doesn't allow it to just slide right on or slide over. So it keeps it stopped, and it makes it a lot easier to get these things on, especially. So go ahead and remove the old pillow ball bushings, and I got these ones out. And I'm going to go ahead and get the pillow balls pulled out next, because I am going to pull this out totally and change out the bearings in this thing. So, going to go ahead and do that. Oop, wrong Allen head. Wonder why it's not fitting it. But there's an Allen deep down inside there a little bit. You don't have to take it the whole way out, just a little bit. And then your pin here should slide out. Maybe I need to undo that more. Or this one's just going to fight me. I don't know which way it's going to be. But let's see if this slides out of here now. It's coming. There it goes. All right. So then your pin will slide out. And at that point, your hex will come off. And then you can go ahead and take the pillow balls off, and this whole thing will come off. So I'll go ahead and bring you guys back when I get this off of there. All right, well, once you get the two pillow balls out, they come out through the front. At that point, you got that completely accessible. You can slide your drive shaft out, and I'm going to go ahead and change out these bearings, especially these inside ones, because they were feeling like they had a bit of play in them, and they are not very smooth anymore. So this car isn't that old, but I have had it pretty dirty, and it's been running, high RPM. So I'm going to go ahead and get these bearings changed out, and I'll bring you guys back when this wheel's finished, and I'm not going to bore you with all four. So guys, the outside bearings, the smaller ones, feel really good, but I'm going to check the grease on the inside. You can just take a razor blade and pop the outside cap off real lightly, and it should come out in one nice little piece. And looking in there, they do look a little bit on the dry side. So what I'm going to do is just basically repack, put a little bit of grease in each one of these as I pull them out. But I'm just using a little bit of marine grease, and I'm just going to go around and then push that into all the bearings real good. And just do that on all of them until they look nice and coated inside again. And stick your cap back on, your bearing cover on the outside again, and get her back in. All right, well, these are my other new Jim's bearings I got. It was for the 6S BLX line. So I have a set of these I'm just going to use on the Typhon. They're new. Jim's ones that work pretty decent too. I have had pretty decent luck with those, but just go ahead and slide those back in. Slide your drive shaft back in, and she is spinning nice and smooth now. So all you got to do then is do everything you just did in reverse. Go ahead and stick your pillow balls back in, get those tightened up, and then get your bushings back in there, and I'll bring you guys back when I get this thing finished up. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get our new M2C Delron pillow ball bushings in there. And then all you got to do is get your caps back on. These still are the stock caps. I honestly like the M2C or even the Hot Racing I've used. They tend to hold in there a little bit better. They got a shoulder on them around the outside edge, and they tend to lock in there a little bit better, I've noticed. But I haven't got them for this car yet, and I'm probably going to pretty soon. But for now, I was just doing the new bushings. But you want to tighten these up to where you still have a tiny, you can feel just a tiny, a very minimal amount of slop in there. That way you know that it's not binding up, because if you get them too tight, then your steering gets tight and you end up overheating your servo because the servo is having to fight so much to turn. So you want to make sure that these aren't cranked down too tight. Basically, I go just where they stop, back them off about a quarter turn, and you might need to go a little bit more, but usually around a quarter turn or just a little bit more is around perfect. You can feel just a very light little tap in there, and that's where I set mine, and the steering is nice and free and it's been working good. So I'm going to go ahead and do this to all four wheels, and well, I'm only putting the Delron on the bushings obviously on the front, but I'm going to go ahead and put new bearings on all four wheels, and but that's going to finish this thing up, and I'll bring you guys back when she is actually done, guys. All right, guys. Well, the Typhon 6S is ready to rip again, and I got the new gearing coming in. Should be here in the next day or two. I'm gonna try a 31 tooth, but like I said, I got the new battery coming for this thing, and I have a feeling that that's going to finally put it to the 100-mile-an-hour mark. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But we're gonna see. But that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the little shop video today on this rainy day, but that's going to do it for the video, guys. So until next time, y'all, be safe, be careful out there. Peace out, everybody.